we're opening a new series of lectures. Hopefully it's gonna go well. I don't expect this first lecture to be so mind-blowing because I'm building on a book, and the beginning is a bit slow, but then we will have more interesting stuff on the upcoming weeks. But let's see, maybe not. This is the first time I deliver it, so I'm always like a bit nervous about things I have never delivered before. Dima, you see my screen?
Yeah.
YouTube is seeing my stream. Excellent. So, and is this going to the right? Yes. Okay. So, well, before I start, you two guys, I really need you to give me the homeworks that I have, because this course was really designed to be done like together, but you guys have a deadline that it's already 1 month old. You have to give me 3 songs. It's kind of a bit depressing, to be honest. Like, we're all depressed a little bit, like the teachers is like, I don't know, let's not get us to be depressed and help us by doing the assignments. So yeah, I need to push you there a little bit. And also I want to, so here it is. Kate, привет. So, and also, so Kate, I was saying that you guys owe me a homework already for 4 weeks. And I also want to tell you that, remember, I one time had a conversation with you and I was telling you, hey guys, we're afraid that you guys are not going to have good grades at the end of the year. And I remember I didn't approach to this conversation right, and I said it wrong. Every teacher is nervous about you guys. Like, we're really afraid. I'm really honest with you. I don't know how to approach to this. The 3rd year feels like nobody is connected, and it can happen that the year ends and you will fail it and you have to repeat it. Like, it's not a joke. We're never joking about this. Like, it's really real, and everybody has gigantic academic depths with us. And I also want you to remember that, let's say that you fail a course this year, you cannot perform any shows next year. Like, and actually, to be honest with you, we discussed now, Artyom and I, that if you guys have academic depths, you will not be able to play in July in the show that is going to happen right now, because we don't know how to motivate you anymore. It's like, we are doing our jobs, but you guys are not doing yours. So I'm super sad to start a lecture with a sad note, but it is our job to kick your ass a little bit too, like, so you guys react, because we are a bit nervous. We're nervous that you guys think like, I'll do everything in the end, and then that you will not do it, and then we will have to fail you, and then you will have to not proceed to the next year. And this really makes us nervous. The school asked me to call all of you individually. Like, it's a real serious deal. It's not me who is worried. Like, Anatoly I started this conversation. What's the name? Yepishev started this conversation. All the teachers are like, what the fuck is going on with the 3rd year? Like, why everybody doesn't come to class, don't give a shit. If the problem is ours, just say it. But anyways, it cannot be that the problem is only us. It can also be that the problem is you. Like, like, I mean, it's not like we are all the only ones who fail. So, you know that I hate to talk about negative things because I'm a really positive guy. But we are nervous. This is the truth. This is the best way to put it. We are nervous about you guys passing to the next year. And it applies to everybody. So, I mean, there is an exception, which is Grisha. And it's really interesting. Like, Grisha is doing everything. Well, anyways, Grisha, we're talking about that I'm nervous. We are all nervous. All the teachers are nervous about the performance of the students. And we're just afraid because people are leaving everything to the last minute. And anyways, I'm not going to go around in circles here. So, okay. Please help me out. You have a homework. It's like, the homework is a nice one. It's like you have to write 3 songs. Like, aren't we here to write music? Like, I just don't get it. So, anyways. Blah, blah, blah. I hate to be a dedushka. And anyways, it's good to see you. So, we have 1 hour to start. I'm opening a new discussion in our lives. I'm kind of like analyzing a book that is called Making Music, very boringly, by a guy called Dennis DeSantis. And this book, I mean, let's just go straight in. Let me see if I already checked, right? My stream is going and everything is fine. Yeah, my stream is going. Okay, great. So, I mean, we have sort of 4 weeks to end the whole thing. And I'm thinking, what is a good way to end these conversations that we have had and the production sessions that we have had. And well, I've concluded that some sort of like creative strategies plan could be really cool. I mean, my goal is that you guys find yourself in a similar situation like I found myself in the writing of the soundtrack, which was like write a symphony, okay, write hip hop, okay, write rock, okay, everything. And so this kind of book is called like 72 advices for the music producer. And so it's going to run through a lot of ideas and things. And it's separated in 3 stages. Like before you start, how do you improve, and how do you finish things? So we're going to be discussing this. Today's lecture is mostly about how to begin. And we will discuss some things that are not new to you. We will see them from another angle. Your participation would be great if you can tell me how do you think about this, like where do you go when you're going to start and stuff like that. And then the next lecture is going to be more like, okay, once you already have something, how do you improve it? And then we will discuss techniques on how to improve what you already have. And then we will see another lecture, which will be like how to finalize something. Like you already did it, okay, like how do we finish? Now, that's an alternative. Another alternative, which was what I really wanted to do, was to be producing your songs. Like that was the point, that you give me the homework and then in the class we discuss it, but you don't give me the homework. So this forces me to change my plan. My plan was that I'm your producer, you give me material and I tell you how to produce it. But so far, only 2 people gave me this material, so I cannot do this. So I have to kind of like change my plans as I go. Because in this case, I'm missing your help. So anyways, rants aside and the Edushka moment aside, let's go. So the music producer needs to be able to produce music on demand at any time. And we will spend some time exploring creative strategies. That's what I was thinking. What is your situation right now as third-year students who are creating music? Like, are you guys stuck sometimes, or do you always can write? Like, let's start with the online guys, and then I'll come to you. Like, people online, like, are you guys having problems to start or move on, or are you guys like in a moment when you can write anytime?
I think I'm getting better at writing on demand, probably because I started doing the matka.
That's like some
Yeah,
propaganda. That's some MMS propaganda there. It's a good one. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there was a lot of tasks. Actually, we have a lot of homework right now in this year, much more than usually. So
Yes.
I learned kind of better to write on demand.
And that's necessary because I mean, I don't know, you see like this year, I mean in my case, I don't know, I have written like 70 songs or something like that. Like I mean, it's like the amount of homework that I have is like, I mean, I don't say it, Leo, from the point of view, it's like a professional person working every day. It's like the amount of homework that you have is like 10% of what we do usually. Like, it's like, I mean, if you're going to make a living out of this, you're going to have to be able to make 10x the amount of homework that we are giving you, something like that. And what about yourself, Dima? How are you finding yourself there?
I'm getting better at writing on demand genres that I know how to write by, but you know, like new type of styles and all the stuff. I'm struggling because, like, it's a hard process to structure the structure of new genres, if you understand.
Okay. Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and-
Yes. All right.
And you know, you wanna or you need to write something new that you never wrote before, but you do not understand how to, and you like reading the articles or books for like 2 days, and then you dies in a way of writing music, kind of.
Okay. And what about?
Because yeah,
Sorry, carry on, Bratan. Carry on. Sorry, I didn't know you had.
that's all.
And Kate, are you there with us? Like,
Yeah. Sorry, I have a bad connection, internet connection, and
окей.
you sometimes замираете.
Я понял. Ничего страшного. Okay, you can watch the stream later or whatever. Just do it how you want.
You can ask me, and I can send an answer on the chat.
Okay, хорошо. The question was, do you get stuck making music nowadays, or you can write anytime? So there will be a chat. You can answer later. Let's see what Lera wants to tell us about this. Lera, how do you feel about this?
No, please, ask me on the chat, okay? Because really, I have a really bad connection, and I don't hear you sometimes.
It's okay. It's okay. So please answer when you can hear on the chat. Do you have issues to write music nowadays, or is it all flowing easily for you when you... Sorry, Liera, 1 second. What? To write stuff on demand. Okay, Liera is going to tell us something. Let's have a listen. It's not hard to start? So Liera is saying kind of like harder for me to continue than to start. Okay, it's hard to continue to start and to finish, obviously. She finds it easier to work in collaboration. Yeah. Yeah. For Liera, it's easier to work in collaboration. She's telling us like that it's easier. I mean, as well, somebody can just tell you that shit or whatever that doesn't work. All right. So let's kick this on. In this set of lectures that we're gonna have till the end of the year, I want to discuss like many music production techniques to write music on demand. I would be interested, maybe, Dima, I was really interested in something you said, which is like it's hard for me to map a new genre, and maybe it would be interesting. You tell me if it would be interesting for you or not. That you guys give me a task, which is like, Leo, why don't you write a chanson? Like something that I have never written before. And I mean, you tell me if you like this idea, and then you watch me writing something I have never seen before, and together in some conversation, we can discuss how I piece this together and how can I get to a result. For me, the stellar case of my situation of writing music on demand that I'm not comfortable with was the Misha Portizio. I don't know if you remember this when I did it. Jingle, because I mean, it was so much outside of my what's the name, like, point of view that anyways I do have a strategy to map things that I have never done before. And if you find this interesting, I can open one lecture which is no content, and you just in the moment you tell me write a song like this, and you will see how I map it and how I get to the result. So I guess I'll run a little approach, and you guys tell me what do you prefer. If you prefer me to continue this content, or if you prefer me to 1 week talk about this. Okay, let's go. So I want to discuss a variety of music production techniques on demand. I want to show that it's really important to master this thing. I want to develop the ability to analyze musical requirements and choose the right techniques. I want also to discuss, Lala Dievочка is here. I also want to discuss how can we combine several techniques together. Also to discuss like how can we approach like music production in a way which is like problem solving type of thing. It's like we need to solve a problem, let's do it. So it's, I mean, continuing, you see, like I think that our relationship, the musical relationship that we have is sort of like we all have this inner fire, and we need to just be able to, I don't know, to burn things when we want immediately. I'm talking about using this inner fire. And so that's kind of something I think it takes a bit of time to develop and practice. And that's what we have been doing together. That's what I want you to do. And I wanted just to apply critical listening skills to think about it. Okay, I'm putting you to think about what you're listening to. I'm putting you 4 books here. We are going to be working on this one, 74 Creative Strategies for Electronic Music Producers. Like, this is a book by a guy called Denise DeSantis. And in some aspects has a little bit of bullshit. I cut through the bullshit. In some aspects has some really applicable tips. And I just thought that the best way to end this course is with very applicable things, like things that you can use right away to get you started. And not to get you started, but to get you on stock when you get stuck. 101 Ableton Tips for House and Techno Producers is another book. If you click, you have the book there. The next one, guys, this book, I really, 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 really want to recommend you this book. I mean, this book is if you need to refresh any concept of music theory, this is your book. Like, everything is here. All the music theory is here. This is 400 pages of great music theory analysis. Anything that you need to refresh that you don't remember, this is a great resource. Of course, you have internet and all of that, but I'm just giving you these options. And I found a new one that is called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Music Composition. And so you have here the PDF. And yeah, it's just literally a lot of writing ideas and proposals. So, I mean, with all the materials we have discussed in this semester, you cannot get stuck anymore. And of course, I don't know how much are you familiar with the tutorials of Jacob Collier, but don't miss them because they're amazing. I'm putting you one there. This is like writing melodies. And there is another one which is like a bit longer conversation, like methods of making music. These two resources here, if you sit down one day with some little cup of tea or something and have a look, like I'm sure you're going to learn something new because, well, Jacob Collier is a freaking genius. So, like I told you, this book kind of like separates in three parts. Questions about getting started, questions about improving things, and questions about finalizing things. So I expect this lecture to be the most boring of them, kind of, because we talked a lot about this, but I wanted to cover the material of this book in full. So this first lecture of this set of lectures is more like about questions on getting started. I don't think that you guys have so many problems to get started, but I don't know how you will be when you have to write a lot of shit in back to back. Like, I mean, I don't know, imagine this. There was a week in this year when I wrote an orchestral piece. I did production for a rock band, and I also wrote some pop music for a jingle. And this was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, like 3 days in a row. And so I see myself starting over again and again and again. And I really reach the moment when it's like, I mean, for me, making music and talking to you is the same. I don't find any difference. I don't need to be focused. I don't need to be inspired. I don't need to be anything. And I think that that's the optimal place to be. So, following the content of Denise DeSantis, okay? We start a project and it's like, oh my God, how do we start? And we have an empty canvas and it just feels very stressful, like, what the hell? I don't know. I guess that you guys at this point don't feel this. Am I right? Do you feel stressed, like, I'm going to start? How do I actually get started? Liera says
Well,
maybe.
if it's something very different from stuff you make, sometimes, yes.
Okay, so it seems like for us here in this room, the hardest thing is to think about a genre that we haven't touched yet before. But Grisha, for example, you all did amazing when I don't know you all. I have only heard Lala and yours, but when I put you to do music that was outside of your comfort zone, you did very well. Was it hard?
Well, I kind of did it a month later than I should have. So, yeah.
I didn't notice. So
I took a lot of time to do it.
It took a lot of time to
much
do
more than I wanted to be
Okay.
honest.
Okay. And Liera, you said like you have a little bit of difficulties to start. Yeah. Is it a focus thing or is it like, I mean, it's a focus thing? When you guys, I mean, I hate to be the guy who has kids and tell you, when you guys have kids, I hate to be that guy, but it's really true. Like, when you have kids, the focus problem disappears immediately because it's like you have so little free time. Like, it's like 2 hours a week or something. And you have no option. You cannot get distracted. It's kind of like, but anyways, who knows? Maybe it will not be like that and you will become focused before. So anyways, well, one of the things that can help you is to start with one element at the same time. I don't know, it's a recommendation. I'm going to try to run quickly through these ideas because this is more basic for you and you don't need it so much. But there are some things here that I think will be cool. Once we get in the creative flow, I mean, it's like kind of you start in one focused thing and then you start kind of like seeing what evolves from that one focused thing that you're seeing. Of course, it's difficult to choose your first step, maybe. Deciding which part to start can be difficult when you have nothing. The fear of making the wrong choice can hinder the process. Somebody today, I had a discussion with another course in the DPO and about some similar topic, and the person was like, I'm afraid of making the wrong choice. Does it happen to you? Really? And to you guys too? Lera is saying yes. To you guys too online? Are you afraid of making the wrong
Not
choice?
not really.
Not
If you
really.
just do something,
Yeah.
how can you make it wrong?
Exactly. I agree. I agree. There is like this. It's like, I mean, I was telling to this person that was expressing me this fear about making the wrong choice. I was like, you know what's the wrong choice? Well, maybe you were booked to play in the Grammys and you got drunk the night before so bad that you cannot play. Like, that's a bad choice. And that will have consequences in your life. But you're writing some songs. And by the way, yes, I forgot. Important Diedushka moment here that I'm going through. The last week, kind of like a lot of bands that I love from my youth, or I don't know, I still feel myself in my youth. I don't feel that I'm not in my youth. I'm still in my youth, but when I was kind of 23, 24, a lot of bands that I was admiring a lot in that time, they released albums this weeks, like Queens of the Stone Age, Blur, also Foo Fighters. And these bands released stuff recently, and it was really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm making here a little parenthesis because I really need to tell you this personally from my heart, like to all of you. All of these guys came out with new albums this week, and when I went to see them, like online on YouTube, it was like, wow, they're all Diedushkas. Like, I mean, physically, like, holy shit. Like, everybody I was admiring became a Diedushka, like, in a snap. It's like, especially the singer of Queens of the Stone Age, it was a big shock. It was like, wow. Like, I mean, and these guys are 10 years older than me, so it means that I'm going to be a Diedushka in 10 years. And, well, I don't think I'm going to be a Diedushka in 10 years because that would mean that Sirius will get somebody pregnant when he's like 13 or something. I really don't expect that to happen. But acid jokes aside, what I wanted to tell you is that I was thinking about my past and the last 10 years, and I regret 0 things in my life, which is very cool. Well, not regret 0 thing. I regret 1 thing in my life, which is I regret I didn't wrote more songs. And I'm telling this to you in particular, like of this getting frozen. I wish, if you look at my catalog of songs, I'm talking about not only songs that are released. I'm talking about like demos, things like that. Maybe there would be like 200 or something like that. I wish it would be 1,000. I'm really not joking. Like, I'm talking about little ideas, explorations. I'm not talking about fully formed songs that are ready to release. I think it's really cool that you have, like, imagine 10% of the things that you write get released, and the other 90% stays there in some soup there of ideas. Always the grown-ups are telling you, like, don't waste your youth. It's like the most magical era of your life, and you shouldn't. I'm not kidding you. As a friend, you know me for a couple of years. This was the week when I felt this. I was like, fuck, it's so true. So true. Like, our youth, it's a absolute gift, and you realize after it's gone that it's gone. You don't realize it when it's happening. It's like all of a sudden you look back and it's like, oh shit, like it's gone. So I'm saying this in particular to you, Lera, like, this fear, be more afraid of having little material. That's more scary. Go for it. Just write and write and write and then delete. Like look. So you have an idea. The latest Red Hot Chili Peppers album, I think it's 12 songs. They made 50, and they deleted 40 of the songs. Like, so. I mean, I think that we should write more music, all of us. And that's why I ask everybody to give you a lot of homeworks, and that's why we push it. Well, anyways, let's move on. That was my Diedushka rant aside. Not rant, sorry, but contemplation. And I really want to give you a bit of inspiration, if I can, of that. Like, the only thing I regret in my life is not having written more songs. And, well, I can still fix it, right? I have, like, some good time ahead, as long as I remain healthy. So this is funny how the author write it. Like, this is a little bit against what I'm telling you right now. Yeah. Yeah, but look at what he's saying. The just do it approach can also lead you on the wrong path. So what should we do? Like, the advice, just do it, might work for sports. It's not as practical for creative work. I mean, what he means is that sitting down, and this is the rage of this course of music production of a single, the rage that I've been trying to pass on to you, is like, if we sit down to write without a strategy, we're maybe we're wasting our time a little bit. And that's why we discuss like how to choose your tonalnost, how to choose your BPM, if you arrive to your writing moment with a strategy, you will win. And if you don't know what the strategy should be, by the way, I really don't care if you guys miss the lectures or come to the lectures or not. What I care is that you know that if you ever open the PAPCA, music production of a single, forever, you're going to have like a list of at least 100 ideas to get you on stock, for sure. Those things are there. So these things are more dedicated for you to the future. So the advice just do it might work for sports, but it's not practical because we need to have a strategy. I mean, just do is not enough. It's like, what are we going to do? Creative endeavors have limited possibility, making it hard to eliminate exactly what to just do. I mean, we can do whatever. We can just sit down on the piano there and start like just playing some stuff and not have an idea. Some ideas to start from scratch, experimentation, try to explore different sounds, ideas, techniques, without worrying about the final outcome. I mean, that's more like a bit of the opposite of like having a strategy, which is fine as well. It's an option that you have. The second option that you have, and we're going to see a lot of examples here, is limitations. To put yourself limitations or guidelines for your projects help you focus on creative choices. We discussed this from the foundation days. It's like, I believe that limitation is a lot more freedom than absolute freedom. I mean, if you have a limitation, you really are in a more free space than when you have absolute freedom, because you fall under the tyranny of procrastination when you don't have a limitation or a problem to fix. You will see what I mean. I'm going to give you some examples later. And well, I mean, obviously seek inspiration from various sources, music, art, nature, personal experiences, to ignite your creativity, etc. So the book has a lot of problems and solutions. So the book is formatted like that. It's like it presents 72 problems. In some moments, the book becomes a little bit bullshit, to be honest with you. And there is even moments when I grab 4 pages of it and summarize them in one sentence, and that shit should have been delivered in one sentence. So you will not count 72 items here because I summarized it a lot. So first problem, and this is a good question to you guys, and this connects to the question that Dima asked. Is starting from influences a problem? Like when you grab a song that is already there that you love and you start with it as an inspiration, do you think that's a problem? I mean, let's give...
No.
Okay, Grisha says no. Let's go to Liera right
No.
away. Dima says no. Okay, we all agree here. That's amazing. If somebody disagrees with this, just go and say it. You know, and so he's not saying that it's a problem, by the way. It's just like asking it in the form of a question. So to save us some time and to go straight to the point and not lose so much time here, I'm going to sort of like run through this. And basically what he's saying is like, imitate but don't copy. That's all. That's obvious. I'm going to skip this. But he says something that I think is really important. He's suggesting to do something that he calls the catalog of attributes. It sounds very fancy. And what this means is like, wouldn't it be nice if we sit down and we hear a song that we like? We did this in the foundation too. We discussed it in the foundation. It's like, and we analyze the production decisions that were made to that song. But what he's proposing us is to use that as a canvas to write a new song. So it's like, okay, I heard a song and it's in 122 BPM. Let's use that BPM. Okay, great. Maybe I'll change it later. Great. Now I hear some drums. I hear a bass line. I hear an electric piano. I hear some female vocals. I hear some lead synth, etc. Dima, this is how I decompose a new song that I have never written before. Like, I just press play to it, make a note of what is all the elements that I hear, and then I sort of start making a cover of that song. And then I start moving the cover around until it sounds different. And then I kind of go to sleep and come back and redo it all based on kind of what it's done there. So this guy is giving us an example of a catalog of attributes. So 122 BPM, I hear drums, 808, 4 on the floor, lots of filter motion and close hats, bass lines, electric piano, female vocals, lead synth, but only after the second chorus. Can you imagine? Like, you're going to write a song and you put yourself this limitation, which is like, my song is going to have synth, but it's going to start only after the second chorus. You're inspired on something else, but obviously the result is going to be different than the one that the other person produced. So although you listen, this is another problem. There is something here that he says that it's obviously two musicians using the same shablon will not reach to the same conclusion, obviously. And actually, if we would have more time in this course, I will make that writing exercise. And maybe it's not even late to write it, but I just don't want to overload you with stuff. You already have plenty and you haven't delivered to me everything. Imagine that I give you one catalog of attributes and you all go and write songs with that catalog of attributes, which would be like, hey, I don't know, we need to have this 808 drums but whatever. I'm going to think about it because I don't find it as a bad idea. But maybe I'll put it as an extra credit and see if somebody does it. Okay. Problem. Can we learn more from the music we listen to? Like, of course, we listen to a lot of music, but I don't know really. Sometimes I don't listen with the intention of learning. I just listen like as a background, and it would be really cool to do something he recommends, and I'm doing it a bit more lately, that he calls active listening. I do it a lot more since I bought the vinyl player in my home. Like, since I bought the vinyl player, I remember, I think I may have mentioned it in one of our lectures, something really magical happened when I bought the vinyl player, that I played music, and then my phone rang, and I was like, the music didn't stop when the phone rang. Like, wow. Like, I mean, it's obvious that we're always distracted, and we're not paying attention to music like how we could. We could pay better attention to music. So he's sort of going like, hey, there is something called active listening. You know, why don't you listen without distraction? Listen to the same thing several times. I'm kind of trying to go as fast as I can through all this material so we can move on. But listen to it in chunks. Load the song in your DAW. I really do this a lot. I load a song in my DAW and then start changing the tempo to that song and adapt to it. Gradually expand the loop and cover some more time. Understand your subjective response to the music, etc. So doing active listening. Right now, I had a lecture with, like I was telling you, I had a lecture with Lepo where we discussed some of these ideas, and I showed them this example. You know this song because I've shown it to you. The song is Backlight Shine by the Mars Volta. It's this Latino song that I really like, and I wanted to ask you something. Like, I think that if I press, let me change this so you guys can hear it online. This is an example of active listening and how I recommend you to listen. So, wait. I see. I'm reading what's going on here. So your tab, yeah. Backlight Shine, yeah. I just wanted to play one moment this and to show you something of how I listen. And how I listen because I'm seeking to get, like, think about this. Wouldn't it be nice to meet one of your favorite musicians and ask him, man, can you help me to write some music? Like, wouldn't it be nice? Have you ever done it? No, but you can do it through their songs. Like, that's kind of what I mean. And look, for example, let me tell you something, how does active listening looks like. You know, if I come to this and I press play and I start, I'm going to hear something. You'll see. So, okay, so did you heard something that called your attention there? The percussion. Yera said the percussion here. The vocals were beautiful. Anybody else?
Vocals are kind of like Maroon 5. That's the thought that I can get rid of.
Great. So look at what I mean by using other music as a trampoline or as a... Trampolin, is это слово по-русски, верно? Как сказать? Нет. Batut. Like a batut. Like a batut to jump to a new idea. If you listen with attention, you will notice something. These guys used a little mathematical formula that is really interesting. Look at this. So wait. Wait for it. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, they're telling you something. It's like, why don't you grab something and then duplicate it? Like 2, 4, 3, 6. and you play with this, and then you grab this resource and drop it in one of your compositions. I mean, you're not gonna play this. You're just gonna think like, oh, maybe this is a cool resource that I can take. And your favorite musicians are full of this. Like, but in order for you to extract this, you need to actively engage with the song and listen to it with the intention of taking some idea from it, right? Like, so that's what this guy means about active listening as a resource to sort of get yourself started. So let me go back to here and continue. Then he suggests something which is like, listen to music that you hate on purpose, you know. Expand your horizon, learn from everything. Like, I mean, and they mean something kind of like grabbing a song that you hate and use that song kind of like to make a catalog of attributes to it, and then start thinking like why this song is successful and stuff. We have discussed this in the past. I don't emphasize there anymore. So the next point that he suggests is, this is really cool, and I really hope that this kind of like flavor of ideas can help you. Create artificial constraints. He suggests this. So this is a quote by Igor Stravinsky. You all know who is Igor Stravinsky, right? Composer, Russian, died in 1970, lived in the previous century, has nothing to do with TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google, another era. And imagine, and I say this in particular because our era is full of a bombardment of information, and we are always like thinking about all the limitless possibilities and everything we can do and all of this. And he goes like this. This is a quote by Stravinsky. My freedom consists in my moving about within the narrow frame I have assigned myself for each one of my undertakings. So I'm free as long as I defined a barrier to my thinking. And I super agree with this. It's something I've been telling you since we met. That, for example, when I go to the studio and I have an infinite amount of microphones, I kind of paralyze, you know, but I really like to have this limitation. It's like, okay, I have only 4. Okay, let's use this. I shall go even further. He says, my freedom will be so much the greater and more meaningful, the more narrowly I limit my field of action, and the more I surround myself with obstacles. Really cool how he words it. Whatever diminishes constraint diminishes strength. Like this is really 19th century style way of writing. What he's saying is like, whatever reduces my limitations reduces my power. And it's usually seen as opposite. It's like, freedom. Yeah, freedom is better. The more constraints you put to yourself, the more you free yourself to shackle the spirit, to make the spirit go wild. So Denis DeSantis proposes like, hey, apply arbitrary constraints before starting to work, create a narrow frame of possibilities, and then act entirely within that frame. Applying some arbitrary constraints will help you to limit your field of options and allowing you to move forward. For example, imagine that you decide, I will write a song with 17 chord changes. And you decide this arbitrarily before you start. There is one thing, guys. I hope that I have a bit of your attention now. There is something that I would really, really like to emphasize to you. Wait a second. Holy shit. I started thinking about something and then I kind of like lost. And this is really important to me. It's going to come back in a second. I was talking about constraints. 17 chord changes, I said. I got distracted for a second and I lost my idea. Fine. I'll relax and I'll let this idea come back to me in a minute. What was it though? Okay, fine. Just happened. Okay. I'm now obsessed to get this idea back. Anyways, I really wanted to tell something and I know it's important, but it's gonna come back. So he's giving us some examples of constraints, like make every sound from one sample, for example. Like, I mean, just choose like, okay, I decided arbitrarily. You remember my idea. Hooray. So in the writing of the soundtrack, this I promise you that is really important. In the writing of the soundtrack, I had to discard, and if I have mentioned this to you, I'm sorry, but for me it's so important that I want to make sure that I pass this idea to you. In the writing of the soundtrack, I wrote like, I think in total, I wrote like 120 minutes of music, and a lot of that music was discarded, so only like kind of 70 minutes goes to the movie. So it means that I wrote 50 minutes extra of music. When you build a house, you know, there is something called scaffolding when you build a house. Like, scaffolding. Kind of looks like this. Let me see it in Google Images. Something like this. You understand? Так, у нас есть урок здесь. Да, спасибо. Если вам нужен компьютер...
Scaffolding.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to show it to you. Just one second. Let me change the source tab here. So, like this, you know, sometimes you build a structure so you can build a structure. And a lot of the music we write, and I had to become detached from my emotional sensations towards a song, because I was like, man, this song is so awesome. And then the director is like, nah, remove it. And I was like, I became really like, you don't want it? Okay, whatever. Like, but the way I see that song now is like, I could not have reached the final result if I would have not done that. So that song becomes like a scaffold that holds the structure of something else. So the idea there is kind of like, don't be afraid. I don't think that there is a lost writing exercise in which you wrote some music and this was lost. Like, so sometimes you put yourself a constraint and then you write something and maybe that thing will not be used at all. That's kind of what I'm trying to tell you. But in the writing exercise, you sort of like set up a shape that later became central for something else. This is some examples of constraints right now, leaving the idea of the scaffold. Make every sound from one sample. For example, make maximum 2 synths per layer. Sometimes I put myself the following constraints, and I really do this a lot. It's like my song has to move from 3/4 to 7/4. Like, why? I decide this before I start. And I even make the tempo map. Like, and I said, okay, here's the change. And it's just like, to put me this constraint just like makes me more focused. For example, completely avoid an instrument that you would expect in any genre. Like, I'm going to write a metal song with keyboards only. Like, why? Because limitation will set me free. Give yourself a deadline. It's like, hey, this thing has to be ready by Thursday. It doesn't matter how it is, but it has to be ready by Thursday. Schedule tasks as if they weren't appointments with yourself. That's kind of the same with what I just said. And another recommendation, he says, like, just kind of weird there, but he says, change the place you make music. It's like, you always make music in your house. Well, maybe book a rep, a bus, and go there to make some music and see what happens. You know, just put yourself some limitations. There is a next advice that he says, and it's really funny how he writes it. It's like, write drunk, but edit sober. And this doesn't exactly means... Actually, I remember I wanted to put a GIF here, and then I became distracted and I forgot it. Wait, let me try to put it. It's like Thundercat drunk GIF. I think there is a good GIF about this. Yeah, this one. This is the GIF I want. I don't know if you know this album. Well, I haven't seen that one. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna grab this one. It's really freaky, but it's okay. You will see it in a second, guys. I mean, I don't know if you know the album of Thundercat called Drunk, but yeah, that's why I put it here. And just to make a little bit of a joke, let me see if I can shrink this a little bit, reduce a bit the size. This is absolutely irrelevant and not important, but I mean, we all like some little bit of a laugh. So let me just download this and drop this here. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I think still that you guys cannot see it, but anyways, you will see it in a second. So let me see if I shrink these. Yeah, that's how it is. So yeah, write drunk, edit sober. And what does he means? I don't know if you guys have this problem. Tell me if you have it. And look, I insist. I have been telling you this all this year. It's like, for me, this year in our relationship has been to move out from my opinion of Leo and our opinion of Andrei Danilov, Leo, Ilya, and to really look around and see what other people in other parts of the world are saying. And the cool news is that many of the things that we concluded, they concluded too. So it seems to be like principles. Tell me if you have this problem. You sit down to write, you are in the super inspiration moment, and then you play a little synth line and you're like, oh, this synth sounds like crap. And then you start working on how that synth sounds. And then you spend 2 hours working on that. And then you come back and it's like, I lost my inspiration. Liera is saying, yeah, you guys, you have this problem or not?
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, so think about this idea. Write drunk, edit sober. The meaning of that is like you are in the drunk space, I mean in the space of creativity. Don't be thinking about this super great sound right now. For example, something I do is that when I'm writing stuff, I use a piano. And I learned this a lot with you guys because I have to write stuff for you sometimes in the lectures. And then I cannot be just like thinking about how it sounds for more than 3 minutes. And so I just go and I choose whatever sound right now, and later I'll come back to it. It's okay. What I care is about the music idea. So the author says like, hey, sometimes we're music making, we find moments of amazing creativity and flow, but because we have a mind in the ultimate end goal of a great track, we stop mid-flow to edit, correct, or otherwise disrupt the creation process. And once we do it, it can be difficult to go back into the flow. So simplify that. Now, this yellow text is my opinion about this. It's some opinion that I have. Okay, it's cool to do this, to write drunk and edit sober. But I think that it's important to quantize. I have told you this a million times. It's important to, you write a little idea, quantize it right away. Like don't, the quantize part, I don't think is an option. You know, just do it quickly. But sometimes it happens to me that I'm trying to quantize something and it was a hard algorithm and I couldn't get the results fast. And I sort of like let it go. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm going to let it go and just not suffer this right now. But yeah, just there is a fine line between wasting your time and making such a shitty demo that it's unenjoyable and then you don't get anywhere. So balance that. Write drunk, edit sober. It's a good idea. So maybe there's a moment for editing. Problem choosing a tempo. I'm not going to discuss this because we had a whole lecture about choosing a tempo. He gives us this. I didn't give you this info like that. I gave you another type of info about tempo. The info I gave you about tempo was like we made a spectrum of tempo. It's like in a hurry, depressed, sad. He tells you more on styles and genres. It's like dub usually falls in between 60 and 90. Hip hop usually falls in between 60 and 100. Blah blah blah. Liera, like for you in particular, I mean this for you in particular because you have expressed today that you have sometimes issues to start, issues to get yourself going and stuff like that. Like, try, please, next time you write a song, do this. This is my key. I'm going to write in E minor. You know, and maybe your soul wants to write an R key. Don't do that. Just, this is a limitation you put to yourself. I'm going to write in E minor in 120 BPM, and I'm going to write in 3/4. Do it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. If you got the streak on your sleeve already, that's really cool. But I mean, so far what we have seen until now, from the beginning of the song until now, or from the beginning of this lecture until now, it's like, well, we make an analysis of other songs of other people. We have a template that we can follow. This becomes a limitation. We can choose keys. We can choose tempos. We can define our self-constraints, etc. Another options that the author is saying is like, and again, I remind you guys, this first lecture, as I announced you when we started, maybe it's the more boring one because it's more like about how to start, and then the next ones are gonna be super more applied. Like, okay, we have this chord progression. What can we do with this chord progression? What we have this like beat. What can we do with this beat? I mean, and we will not see this from my point of view, but from his point of view. Right now, this is more about like writer's block kind of thing. Change your tools is an option that he is saying. And I really like this. It's like, you know, a friend who has a new synth, go ahead and tell, man, can I get your synth for a week? Just give me your synth for a week. And just grab that thing. And I mean, just grab another tool that you have never touched before. I have never played with I don't know, whatever, this air guitar thing. Anyways, like just grab it. Change your tools. And then there are some other thoughts here that he is suggesting, which is kind of like, don't expect to finish it all in one go. Work in parts and then put them together. Really recommend that as well in my style of writing. Feel free to start from presets and build template projects. Do you guys have presets? Templates? No? Yes? Do it. Do you guys there?
Yeah, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you open and it's ready to go. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Work sometimes without a goal and follow the white rabbit. Like, I mean, I do this a lot personally. less and less nowadays, because most of the stuff I write nowadays, it's for some commission or something, and call another musician to come and work with you. Works for Liera, she told us. Don't forget about your old projects that you have there archived. They can be seen under a new light today. That's another recommendation he says. And the other recommendation he says is kind of like use time boxing. Like, I really recommend this. It's kind of like, let's say that you decide, I'm going to work 3 hours on this, and then you decide, I'm going to improve these beats, but I will do it in 30 minutes. And when those 30 minutes ends, you move on, and you will come back to it later. But it's a good idea to kind of compartmentalize. Yeah, Liera tells us that she uses this trick. Like, yeah, I don't know, so you don't get stuck in one thing. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So Liera is telling us that she like kind of applies this technique a lot. Like, I mean, decides to work 1 hour, then have a rest. It's hard for her to focus. It's hard for all of us to focus, really. And so, yeah, time boxing, it's good for procrastinators. Like, and I'm a procrastinator for sure. So I really understand you guys. Yeah, and the last point that he says, this is really cool. Ignore the problems that are not consequential. So I should better update my software right now before I start the writing session. No, you don't need to update your software right now. Like, I mean, maybe there's a time to update your software. Or I really need to clean my room before I start writing because it all has to be perfect. And there is a guy called Steven Pressfield. I have really not read this book, so I'm going to quote you something, but this is coming from Denise DeSantis. I just don't know, but he is describing it. There's a guy called Steven Pressfield who wrote a book, The War of Art. And he talks about a force that manifests in the life of creative people in order to keep them from getting work done. This shit happens to me all the motherfucking time, especially with Bitcoin stuff. I'm like, because I always thinking about Bitcoin too. I'm kind of like, I'm going to start working. Oh, but wait, like my portfolio in Bitcoin that I have, it's not like so neat. So let me start fixing it right now. And then I spend many time like that. And it's really stupid. He calls this force resistance. So these problems you're finding in your studio are a manifestation of resistance. It's a trap. Your mind is playing tricks on you so you keep you from working. And none of these problems are serious enough to take time away from your creative efforts. If they were, you would have solved them already. So yeah, I mean, just don't pay attention. Ignore these problems. They are not as important as you think. And just be aware that your mind is trying to stop you from working. So, all right. We covered all the quote-unquote parts that I consider to be boring, I guess. Then what is going to come next is kind of like questions about improvement. So just so you know, I mean, I'm going to close this lecture a little bit earlier because I really have an important meeting in Pavilievsk and I need to run there. It's about my next movie that I will make music for. I will meet the actors and everything. They're making a film test there right now, like with all the people that will be the movie. It's a very exciting meeting. So what kind of stuff we're going to be doing? Okay, so my music sounds flat or lacks depth. What can I do? And there is a good discussion. I'm going to leave it for next week so you see what can we do about that. Big picture versus detail, how to manage that. This is something cool that he calls like mutations of clones. We will discuss this. There is a second version of mutations of clones, and we will do this with exercises in Ableton. Node transformation, he discusses transpositions, inversions, retrograde, reverse, constraint onto a scale, time shifting, pitch rotation, further possibilities. We're going to see something called pareidolia. I will explain you later what that is. He goes and talks about polyrhythm as well. I refresh you there, our polyrhythm conversations from the foundation a little bit, and so on. This is just half. Next week, this will reach already to the slide 100, kind of. Like I will be developing this for next week. So there will be a lot of practical applications and also about how to finish. So that's how I open this creative strategies discussion. This is how we're going to spend the last 4 weeks of the course. I think, guys, I think that what we discussed, like you see, MMS and we signed a contract, and this contract said, for example, music production of a single needs to be 38 lectures or something. And then when we sum everything up across the year, there are some little bits missing. And I know that you guys don't count those hours, and that if I deliver you 37 lectures, but we said that we're going to deliver 38, like, I know that you guys are not going to be complaining about that. Well, maybe you will, but I don't think you will. But I am paying attention to that number a lot because, I mean, I feel that I need to get paid for something I did, not for something I didn't do. So what I'm saying with this is that after the next 4 weeks pass, if I see that there is anything remaining there, I may record some videos that I send to you later, like, hey guys, I made this exercise. If you want to see it, here it is. You see what I mean? Like, so I think that what Dima was not asking, but Dima mentioned that for him it's hard to write in another genre. I think, for example, that would be the type of case that I will ask you, guys, send me a song of chanson, and I will do this offline. It would not be synchronous. And then I send you a video, and you can see anytime you want how I did it, like a tutorial or something. So you can propose me topics if you want. Leo, we want to see a bit of keyboards arrangements. We want to see how you write a guitar solo. Choose a topic. Like, I'm asking you guys, please, if you want anything to be developed as extra material, please drive me a little message. Like, for example, Grisha told me, I want to learn about tape machines. And I went and I built a presentation about that. So I'm waiting for this kind of feedback from you to build stuff. So that's all for today. I got a message here.
It was me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, but maybe just looking for you to creating some new genre is not fair because you have like much more experience and you know the things from for example, like from other genres that like cross with the one that
Yes.
You're
Yes.
right, and
it doesn't have to be this. I just brainstorming here. Like if you think about, I mean, if you want, we can also do a lecture because I mean the problem about this lecture too. This lecture of music production of a single has been incredibly difficult to build because we don't do the synchronous. So I cannot tell you go and write music right now. I could, but online is a bit weird. Like I cannot make practical lectures, Karoche, because one of the things we could do is just that we meet and then I say, okay, guys, here is a song of Calypso. And then you guys are like, oh, how do I write Calypso? And you do it. Like if, I don't know, we can brainstorm together on how we get to...
I'm not sure too, but I'm thinking how to create this now.
I do believe that making you a video, I mean, imagine that you choose the song, you give me Ruski Narod, something that it's obvious that is outside of my template. And if I make a video that you can skip, because I mean, I of course don't imagine that you're going to sit down and see 1 hour and a half of me writing music, but a video you can see like, oh shit, like this is how he kind of pieced it together in his head, perhaps could be inspiring. I don't know. I really would love you guys to propose me topics to do in these little extra videos. Can be anything. Can be anything you want. Just let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right, so Dima, I'll see you tomorrow at 5. Grisha and the guys, and Liera, I'll see you next week on mixing and mastering and Razvitia and production of a single. Please express to the other guys, everybody here, help us out. Tell to everybody. We had a meeting with the teachers last week, and really everybody's worried. Like, we're not angry, we're worried. So just tell this to your other students, like your fellow students, like, guys, like the teachers are worried. And if there's anything I can do to help, just tell me and we will help. I am going to be working really hard on your 4th year. I'm going to fight really hard so practically you don't repeat any teacher. I mean, my dream situation is like next year you don't have any of the teachers you have had so far, that everybody is new in your life, because I think you need this. I think when I think about a problem like this, I always try to think, what am I doing that can make it better? And I mean, perhaps you guys are also saturated. It's like, come on, Leo, I'm tired of seeing you every week. Like, I see you all the time. It's normal if it's like that. It's okay. So I don't think that this problem is only about you. It's also exhaustion, normal exhaustion. We're in the year 3. And it's like, ooh, so many things happened. So I don't blame it on you. But what's important is that we keep communicating, because there is a danger that you fail the subjects, and this will be pizdiets if it happens. And so let's try not to make that happen. So you have an idea. This is not official yet, but I'm sure of what I'm telling you. So you know how it's going to work, because I gave this instruction to all the teachers. We had a meeting last week, and I told to all the teachers this. Guys, remember that we had decided that you could only do Perez Dacha until May the 10th for the first semester. That doesn't know. Don't worry about it. This was announced and said that if you had any debts for the first semester, like you only had until May the 10th to close them. So I told to all the teachers that it's up to them if they want to take projects from the first semester or not. I kind of like removed this rule as a general rule, and I gave each teacher the capacity to make this decision themselves. For example, Anatoly Ice said, I will not take any projects from the first semester anymore. Fair enough. For example, I will take projects from the first semester. The classes end on June 24th. And then you're going to have until July 15th, and that is really non-negotiable, non-changeable, nothing can be done after that. You're going to have in between, let me tell you the exact date, so I'm not telling you something stupid. There will be an announcement of this soon, but so you know. You will have in between June 24, wait, where is this? BSc, admin here. Yeah, here it is. Like, look, you see, last, well, you're not seeing the screen. Let me show you the screen here. Stop sharing, share your entire screen. So I wrote this to the teachers. This was like a meeting we had last week. Look, Leo calls all students of the third years and discuss with each student what's up and what's up. I mean, we're just nervous. Like, that was one of the tasks that was given to me. Let's use the next lectures to discuss the plan for the month of June, July, and the grades. Delivery of projects and delivery of post deadlines. So last day of lectures is 24th of June. Last day of usual delivery of projects is the 26th of June, 24th of June. And then there is a time of Perez Dacha between the 26th of June and the 15th of July. And whatever, if you don't deliver all your stuff between those weeks, then you're in big problems. And then we need to give to the school, this is nothing to you, we need to give to you all the totalized grades by the 25th of July. And like, if we cannot give to you your grades, then that's when you can fail the course and stuff and all of that. So there is chance, there is time. That's why I'm talking to you now, so you guys understand this and give us our homeworks. So yeah, I'm starting to become more boring. So anyways, thank you guys. See you tomorrow, Dima. See you next week, Grisha. Any questions, comments, write me. I'll be glad to help. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Awesome. Paka, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. And call for everyone and stop the stream, and I go to my meeting. Hurrah!